While most of the people I work with are established professionals who are looking to transition into something new, a second chapter of their lives, if you like, sometimes I find myself working with younger people who are doing much the same thing. And one thing that both age groups have in common is that they undervalue their experience as a basis for starting their own businesses. They get stuck in thinking that what they know, what they've learned, and what they're good at is only applicable in the workplace that they want to leave. And it's just not true. Like, I know this because I went through the same thing back in 2016 when I was told that I was no longer wanted at the company I'd spent 13 and a half years working at. A knife doesn't sharpen itself. Even if you're only slicing tomatoes every day, eventually a knife's edge will become dull. So when you spend your working days doing the same things over and over and over, you don't see those things as valuable skills because you have kind of mastered them to the point that they seem trivial and inconsequential. But they're only like that to you. To others who need those skills or haven't developed them yet, you're a bit of a wizard. Like, the modern workplace is almost designed to make you forget who you are, the wizard that you are. The workplace itself is designed to de-identify you. The level of compliance is designed to shape you into some of the most efficient human resources that you could ever possibly be. The training process is designed to carve off those rough edges and create smooth edges that help create a harmonious workplace for everyone. There's little room for personal goals or any big ideas. That's just not what employment is for. You're not there to realize your hopes and dreams. You're there to help someone else make money. So it's any wonder you start to lose perspective on how the individual skills you've developed are worth anything outside of that environment. But then suddenly one of your colleagues leaves for another job at another company and you wonder, well, how did they do it? How do they manage to make their skills transferable to a whole other role in a whole different company? They'd reached the point where the thought of staying was more painful than the fear they had of going somewhere new. And when you're in that kind of pain, you'll do whatever it takes to get out, including assessing what you do and what that might be worth. And what do you do that's transferable? Some skills are obviously transferable in your life. If you're an accounts payable clerk, then you can do that kind of role almost anywhere. But we'll break down some of the skills that kind of employee has that they may not realize. There's the obvious stuff like whether they use Xero or MyOb or SAP or QuickBooks and how proficient they can be in those systems. But then there's all this other stuff that they find themselves doing every day, like attention to detail. That's where the accuracy is critical when you handle invoices. You have to be meticulous to avoid errors. They need mathematical skills. Basic math is essential for calculating amounts and verifying totals and ensuring payment amounts are proper. There's organizational skills, there's time management skills, there's communication skills. After all, you're talking with suppliers and people in other parts of the company. Problem-solving skills, because you're going to come across some problems that need solving. Knowledge of accounting principles, you basically need those. Customer service orientation, where you're providing some decent service to your vendors and your suppliers and people elsewhere in the company, making sure their queries and concerns are important. Discretion and confidentiality, you're dealing with people's financial information. That's sensitive stuff. Teamwork, you're going to have to work with other people. And you thought that all they did was push numbers around a spreadsheet, but that gets you to thinking, what do you actually do? We're usually too close to our jobs to recognize just how complex each day is. And because we do it every single day, we don't see it as complex at all. We see it as business as usual. But there was a time when you didn't know how to do any of that stuff. The best way to understand the complexity of what you do and all the skills that it involves is to teach someone else how to do it. Only then can you see how much all those years of experience have dulled you to just how good you are at what you do. Now, I like to break skills down into a few categories. The obvious ones, what people new to the role would expect they're going to come across. Then there's proprietary. That's what's specific just to your workplace. Then this is the one I really am interested in, the unobvious skills, those skills that aren't immediately expected from the role. So for our accounts payable clerk, that would include teamwork and discretion and customer service and communication skills. They are the kinds of things that you can't learn through university or TAFE, but they're also the skills that will set employees apart from those who perform those bare minimum requirements. It's in those unobvious skills that you find the skills that can take you from being an accounts payable clerk to being just about anything you want to be at any company you want to work at. Think about it. Someone who's great at teamwork might not be a great technician in an unrelated field, but they do know how to work with others to be a better technician. Now, someone who's discreet can easily gain the trust of clients and customers and colleagues. Those who can be trusted are those who can be relied upon. Someone with great communication skills isn't just good at writing emails, but they're also good at writing and speaking and negotiating and clarifying difficult concepts to people who don't understand them. They're the great trainers and teachers in their workplaces. How I transitioned out of my formula career, well, I call it a transition, but I wasn't really given much of a choice when it came to leaving it. I was in radio broadcasting, and it didn't initially take that whole being forced out of a job very well. In fact, I had a little bit of a minor panic, even though I was given a good 3 months off ramp to give me some time to plan and adjust. But honestly, I didn't struggle to find work at all. Simply because unlike my other radio colleagues, my skills weren't limited to just broadcasting. I'd spent 9 of my 13 years working on the digital content and online marketing side of the business. But at that time, I didn't really understand just how in demand those skills happen to be. Knowing how websites work and how to build them, well, we're talking about 2017 here, that was a highly sought after skill. Many companies were still largely new to social media at the time. So even though I'd been working directly with it since 2008, it was brand new to them. I'd started my radio career as a copywriter, so I knew how to write, and that's a skill that I still use to this very day. Having been on air in the earlier part of my career taught me how to communicate clearly and concisely, a skill that's definitely served me well ever since. Although I never considered myself a sales professional, I'd been selling our digital channels and their importance to a workforce that wanted nothing to do with them for nearly a decade internally, so I could sell. I initially consulted to another radio network. It seemed really easy to just go to another radio network that needed to transition to a more digital product set as well. And I then sort of went, okay, that was fun and all, developed some of my own software that I attempted to sell to businesses who didn't need it. And then after that all fell down, I decided that it was time to learn how to sell properly for the first time in my life. What I learned by selling something I didn't believe in was just how much it relied upon me selling myself. If a potential client wasn't interested in what I was being paid to sell, then I had to have something else I could bring to the table, and that was me. And more specifically, something of my own that they may be interested in. It turned out that within a year, they were more interested in the digital solutions I was trying to sell them than what I was really meant to be selling them, which was TV advertising. All those digital platforms and communications and marketing and business development skills were in very high demand when you got to about 2017, 2018. Now, it's been a good 7 years since I was pushed out of that former career, and honestly, it's the best thing that could have happened to me. But that one incident has led to me teaching and training thousands of people every year to dream bigger, to do better, and to take control of their lives through becoming entrepreneurs, business owners. I also own multiple businesses myself across multiple states and am building an increasingly national presence, and none of that would have happened if I'd not been forced to determine what skills I could use elsewhere. You have skills. They are transferable. You can do better elsewhere or even go and do your own thing. What I want you to do is not wait to be pushed out like I was or to be made obsolete. Take control, learn the skills, make the choices for yourself. I'm Dante St. James.